Hi, it's Shelly
And Lisa.
from Sound Mind and Spirit, and we're here today to talk to you about finding your faith during tough times. So recently we personally went through kind of a tough natural disaster here in our area, Hurricane Harvey.
Known as Harvey,
Yeah.
which I'm sure if you've watched the news at all in the last little bit, you've heard of it.
You know, but it's not just local to our Houston area. It also struck in the South Texas coast. And then more recently, our friends in Florida have gone through Hurricane Irma. And just even more recently, our friends down in Puerto Rico are just now coming out of Hurricane Maria. So living on the Gulf Coast, we have those moments. We prepare for them. But, you know, when they're actually here, it's still kind of an ordeal. And it's not unlike any major ordeal, I think, that people go through in their life. It's just, in this case, it was kind of a tangible one.
Unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. You can prepare for it the best you can, but it never quite goes as you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
So like any other major crisis in a life. First, we'll say that we are safe, and all of our friends and family immediate weathered the storm safely.
Yeah,
Start with that.
But there was a lot of uncertainty when that storm first hit, because while we knew we weren't getting a direct hit, we got a lot of outer bands. We'd had quite a bit of weather. There was the tornado that went across the street from your house.
Directly next door, just feet from our window while we were here, and we were the only house. We were still the only house on the street that doesn't have a tarp. They're still tarped.
Yeah.
So.
And then the next night was the lightning storm, where a house about 7-8 houses down from us across the park got struck by lightning.
Caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a little. It's hard to talk about, actually, for me. Isn't that funny? Yeah. It's hard to talk about the tornado and the.
Well, the funny thing about that is, for me, it feels like the whole hurricane experience is broken into two parts. There's the part at home, which are those 2 really bad nights, and then there was the mandatory evacuation, because what you probably do know about Harvey in Houston is that we had 50 some odd inches of rain, which is a year's worth, fall in the span of a day and a half.
Something like that.
And that's where the real uncertainty and fear came into play. You evacuated to. This is the first time we've been in a hurricane we weren't together.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Because we've always kind of ended up. Y'all came to our house during Katrina, and we ended up at Mom and Dad's during Ike.
Yep.
And of course, we were kids. Alicia, we were together.
Yep.
We both decided to evacuate before the mandatory evacuation was issued. The night before, actually, they put us under a voluntary. And for me, Brian and I, we were with the kids. We were eating dinner, and it was Sunday night, and we kind of looked at each other and we said, we need to go. Like, we'd already been through the tornado, and then the next night of the crazy town storm, and we just made that decision instantly and said, we just need to get out of here. We live less than half a mile from the river, the Brazos River, and the big issue was whether or not our levees would hold.
That's right, because they were predicting it would crest at like 60 inches, and the levees are only built to hold 57.
Yeah. And if that levee got breached near us, it wouldn't be just inches of water in our house. It would be.
You probably would have had the whole first
They were
floor.
predicting like 8 feet of water. So we just instantly made that decision. We need to go. And we worked for about 2 hours, and we moved as much as we could upstairs. Just any important stuff. We didn't move like furniture and all that kind of stuff. We just papers, pictures,
you did what we did, right?
documents.
You walked around and you went, it's stuff, I can replace it. It's stuff, I can throw it out. No, that's important. I need to move that one upstairs.
You know what's funny? I realized how much stuff I have that I didn't care about. And it makes me, I was like, okay, after the storm, I am getting rid of all my stuff. And I haven't yet. But
you haven't yet.
We've done a pretty good job, actually, of when we were putting it back together. But no, we made the decision, and y'all got out before we did. Y'all moved your stuff a lot faster than we did.
That's because our brother made me go into a panic. You know what he said? You're going to love this. He said, if you wait till in the morning, it's going to be like a Hurricane Rita evacuation scenario,
exactly
trying to get
right.
out of the neighborhood. And I went,
That's exactly what we thought of too. So Rita, I don't know if you remember this, people were stuck on the freeways in Houston and in the neighborhoods. I mean, you couldn't move. You would sit in the car for hours and go
14 hours.
And go maybe half a mile. So
I spent 6.5 hours on the road. It took me 20 minutes to come home when we turned around.
Me too. And people died sitting in their cars from the heat and from other issues
I
during
ran out
Rita.
of gas.
So we decided the same thing. We loaded up. We evacuated to our parents, or my family did, not yours, to our parents. And we got there. There was already water on the road, so it was.
When you stopped by Mom's house first.
We took both our cars. I was really nervous about driving. It was about 1:00 in the morning when we left. Took both cars. There was a lot of water on the road, but we got there, and then we didn't bring everything inside. We got the cars in the garage, and because Mom and Dad weren't home. And we were just kind of getting settled and emptying out the ice chest of food and stuff. And Dad calls and he says, I hate to tell you, but...
Oh, you knew? He told you?
That night.
Oh.
It was about 2 a.m. and he said, I hate to tell you, but my house is now under mandatory evacuation.
Okay,
so you're going to have to leave
in
the morning.
I'm at our brother's house. And we got the message that our parents' house were under the mandatory evacuation, and we knew that y'all were on your way there, and we all kind of, maybe I shouldn't tell you this.
Decided not to tell us.
Well, the four of us all kind of looked at each other, and we were all playing like, not it. I'm not telling him. We'll tell him in the morning.
And it actually turned out to be good because Mom and Dad had left for the ranch, and they had not moved anything in the house, and so it actually worked out well because Shelly's husband and our brother and my husband and the kids and I all worked the next morning. We got up immediately and we moved as much as we could from Mom and Dad's upstairs. So we got all of their documents and papers, and David came over and got their other car that was at the house, and he moved it. And so it actually worked out okay. So then
we had 3 days.
And so then we moved to Brian's parents' house. So it was... and then I pretty much just sat on the couch and collapsed because of the stress.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So for 3 days, we evacuated to 2 different homes, and you just wait.
Yeah.
And you watch the news, and the news is, thank God we weren't in a place where we were having to, watch the water come into our house or try to decide or have to be rescued on a boat. We know lots of people who were. But for that first day especially, you just kind of watch the news and it rains. I have never not liked the sound of rain. But by the second day, I think I told Lisa this, but I was laying in bed. I had a bed. You were on a couch.
I was on the couch.
And I was laying in my niece's trundle bed looking out the window because I was right on the window, and it's just raining. And it's just a hard, regular, steady rain. And I remember thinking, God, just stop raining. I'm worried about that river. Every day we've seen pictures of the river or pictures of the levee or neighbors that didn't evacuate talking to us. And
I had people on Facebook in our neighborhood who were being evacuated because parts of our neighborhood flooded, and they were doing river, boat evacuations from their houses. And I had friends who were trying to evacuate and couldn't. They tried to get out of Houston and they couldn't because they kept getting trapped in by the water, and they're texting and it was a crazy couple of days. And thankfully, our houses are okay. My husband and I came back, so that was Sunday night, Monday. Tuesday afternoon, we decided to go drive around. I mostly just had to get out of the house. I was going stir crazy.
At least you could get out of the house. I evacuated to a place that had 4 feet of water in the street. It didn't get in the house, but we were on an island.
Yeah.
So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we were trapped.
Yeah.
That was, and not a drop of water at the house, but we were trapped.
Yeah. We were at my in-laws, and so, which isn't terribly far, and so we drove and we tried to get to, we knew they were trapped in. We tried to get to my parents' house, and their neighborhood was flooded in. They didn't get any water in the house either, but their streets and everything they were all trapped. So then we were like, well, let's go see what we can see in our neighborhood. Because we'd seen it on the news. We knew they were doing boat evacuations and all that kind of stuff. So we drove into the neighborhood, and it was very surreal seeing all of the pickup trucks carrying boats up and down the highway out here in front of the neighborhood. to see the military vehicles, a lot of very large military vehicles all over the place, water on the highway. As you came in the neighborhood, our ditches and the roads were full, but we were able to come to the house and grab a couple of things. I mean, the house was fine. So, but that's a big part of it, is the first responders and what people did. The Cajun Navy. No, not the Cajun Navy.
Yeah, it was the Cajun Navy.
Coming to, but it wasn't just them, but people from all over. Did you hear that Academy, which is a sporting goods store here, they sold out of boats?
Not surprised.
Because people, average, regular people, were just going to Academy and going, I'm going to buy a kayak and I'm going to go rescue people.
How do you rescue people in a kayak?
I don't know, but they were doing it. Or maybe they were going to get stuff. You can buy 2-person kayaks, can't you?
I don't know.
But they said they sold out of everything, like the little boats and the canoes. And
I could see like the little rubber rafts, and I saw they had some flat bottom boats. And
it was, I mean, that's kind of the story of Harvey, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Well,
you know, so right before Harvey, everything in the news was very depressing and negative, and they're tearing down statues, and Antifa's, you know, beating people up in the street for, you know, free speech.
And you got Nazis coming out of the woodwork, and
I don't think there's that many Nazis.
Well, no, but it's all over the news. That's what I'm saying.
No, but I don't trust the news anymore.
Wow.
So, hey, some guy did something, you know, 200 years ago. We gotta. So, but then all this happened, and it was like, for us, honestly, it was like there was no other world.
Yeah.
There was no other parts of the United States. There was nothing else going on. Something happened in Korea. I mean, nothing. It was all local news all the time. And every time you turned on the TV, what you saw was people helping people. Mm-hmm. And that's it. It was, hey, where are you? Who are you? What's going on? Oh, our local news channel got flooded. So I'm watching TV.
Yeah, one of them.
We're sitting there watching the television, and they're saying, hey, there's water coming in our studio. Mm-hmm. And they go live to some young news reporter, and she's standing on one of those overpasses looking down at, 30 feet of water. And she's all upset because there's an 18-wheeler that's gotten trapped and the water's rising. And all of a sudden, the news guy says, he must have said in her earpiece, hey, we're going off the air, you're it. And her eyes go like this. And all of a sudden you see her like, And so she carries on as best she can. And right then she's like, sees the 18-wheeler, and she's like, oh my gosh, we got to get this guy out of here. Last year, year before, during a flood, somebody died down in this spot. And then there goes a sheriff's car or truck with a boat behind it. She flags them down on the highway. She runs out there, flags them down, tells them to go get this guy. They pull over. She runs over. And then all of a sudden the whole TV goes black, and we get a test pattern. Well, thankfully they did record it, and they put it up on the social media online later, so we could go back and watch it.
They were off the air for quite a while because their 2 days, their whole studio flooded.
It just made me love them more.
Well, it was, it was interesting because everybody had a story. I mean, everybody. Yeah. I mean, Houston area is millions and millions of people, and it affected, not just Houston. Really, really widespread. And then it kept going. So you have the first few days, you have the tornado and the storm damage, and then you have the immediate flooding, and then you have the rising waters from the rivers and from the reservoirs and the lakes. And so it's like you had this progressive, it was a whole week-long event. It wasn't typically a hurricane. You get a storm and then it passes and you're good. And we knew it was going to be a rain event, but it just kept going. And
it went all the way from Rockport down by Corpus, all the way up the coast. And then after us, it went all the way into
Louisiana.
Beaumont and then Louisiana. And I read something that said, imagine the entire state of Delaware underwater.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a few weeks since the storm.
I don't even know what day it is.
I don't know. And what's interesting is seeing it's still, people are still
helping each other.
Helping and going out of their way to really be there for each other. And it's just wonderful to see. In the first few weeks, it was all about, hey, I got a house, it needs to be gutted and cleaned and whatever. Bring a hammer, bring a mask, and show up at this address. And that's how it was going. And so everyone would rush there. Or I need diapers delivered here, food pantry needs food. I mean, it was just overwhelming.
It was
right?
just immediate people taking care of people. I mean, the morning after the tornado, I know you called me and you were saying your fence had been blown down on one side, but your neighbor had lost a tree and all this damage across the street from you. And y'all went right out there. They had groups from the high school come out. They had groups from different church youth ministries come
every
out.
church was out.
They were out here.
And what's funny is there's different restaurants and stuff. They showed up and were feeding volunteers, and so we're sitting in my breakfast room, so I can see out my kitchen windows, and all of these houses that we can see over here, they all have tremendous roof damage. They all lost trees. They all lost their fences. We have a friend who had
I can count 6
down the
tarps
street,
just right here from this view.
they had a complete outdoor kitchen on a slab by their pool. It's gone. Like, not, I mean, it's gone. It was crazy. It really was. So what's been nice that even we're a couple of weeks out, look at what so you've still got people who are out of their homes, and not just out because they haven't been repaired, but out because they still have water.
You do?
Not here in our neighborhood, but in the city, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Cinco Ranch still looks bad.
I didn't know they still had water in the home.
It hasn't fully receded yet, the people who are affected by the reservoirs. So our high school, because high school football started up again, our high school yesterday played a high school down in Dickinson, Texas, which is closer to Galveston, closer to the bay. And 91% of all of their students, faculty, and staff were flooded during Harvey. They lost their homes. And
we had a fundraiser here where we had a collection in all the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools.
It wasn't like an official thing. It was one of those things
that just bubbled up. It was like somebody had an idea and somebody else said, hey, that's a great idea. I can donate a gift card to Subway. And somebody else said, okay, they put it on Facebook. They put it out. I think they sent it out as an email to some of the schools.
And our football coach contacted their football coach.
Told them what we were doing.
We would like to help. What is the best way to help? And he responded, from what I heard, that gift cards, like small denomination gift cards for grocery stores, Walmart, Target, just places they could get what they need.
$12,000 in gift cards.
In 3 days. They just, people...
It was shocking. Overwhelming.
And that's what I love to see, is that even though we're several weeks out of the, removed from it, people are still, we haven't lost that spirit yet. One of the things I was thinking about the other day, and I told somebody, it was the corporal works of mercy in action.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was.
Feeding the hungry.
Clothing the naked, sheltering. I mean, you go
Helping
through it. All of them.
The imprisoned.
And it wasn't because anyone was saying, you need to go do this. People just did it.
Yeah.
They just got up and did it.
Yeah. Nobody waited for somebody else to step up and take. Somebody said, I have an idea, and everybody goes, where can I drop it off? And before you know it, the person who says, I have an idea, has a front living room full of donated clothes. And they're actually going, okay, I've got a truckload of clothes. Where do I take these? And some other charity will step in and go, hey, this is Shared Dreams, and we've got an open warehouse, and we're servicing people out the door.
But I also need people to come sort.
And I was about to say, before you know it, they're taking it and they're putting out the call. Yeah. Okay, guys, everybody who dropped off a clothes, they also need
you got to sort it and organize it.
Can you come and work a 30-minute shift?
Well, someone did that over here. That we've had, I think, 3 elementary schools in our school district, way out here on the southwest side of town, and we lost 3 elementary schools to water, and within a week, they'd collected enough books to restore libraries, just by asking people, either go buy books or clean out what you have for elementary. I mean, the response has been overwhelming, and there's still so many people in need. We were just talking about that a little while ago. So many people who are still dealing with the water, the mold, what do I do? My car flooded, my roof is leaking. Well, the official channels and that kind of stuff just takes time. So long. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, it's one thing to go over to that neighborhood where all the kids were going after Sienna was kind of done. They went over to the next door neighborhood. And it's one thing to go in and start ripping everything out. So you go in and you do your own demo day, and you pull out the walls and you pull up the floors and the carpets, and you trim it all up. But now you've got houses that are standing in what I have an employee called it, was it rowboat ready, rowboat renovation, robot, anyways. It was funnier when I saw it. So, point is, now you've got families. It's not over yet.
No,
you've got
it's not
families that
over.
are living in this pseudo state of in between, and it's kind of like a now what?
Yeah. How do they get? I mean, we've all kind of gotten back to normal, but for some people, it's a very
weird normal.
Yeah. I mean, the schools are back in. Everybody's kind of figuring out their next steps.
One of the isn't Kingwood High School that is now over at Arrival. They've made space for them to come in and try to maintain their semblance of identity.
Kingwood High School took water up to the second floor of their school, and so they went to, I forgot what the other school is called, but so that school goes to school the mornings, and then Kingwood comes in and takes over that high school for the afternoons, so that they're both sharing the space, but they have more like college where you only do classes, I think, on certain days, or having to do a lot of at home work, but whatever you can. So these kids, a friend of mine in Cinco, his daughter for elementary school, I think it's kindergarten, and they're having to meet at a community college.
Yeah.
The kindergarten, the whole elementary was flooded. So it is a weird normal. There's a lot of people out there still needing help and taking donations and all that kind of stuff. So, and I'm sure it's going to be the same for Puerto Rico, because we're seeing they had extensive damage.
Oh, I haven't read the news last night or this morning.
And
but
Mexico,
the last thing I heard was that they're going to need drinkable water. And I'm not sure how. I presume, I guess, that there are international aid societies that have the ability to mobilize. So I guess they'll need financial donations. And really, because to get anything in there, you'd have to either airlift it. I don't know that you can land a plane down there yet. I really don't. There's no electricity. I don't know if the runways are even clear.
They have ways to
shipping
to do that,
or they'll have to call in the Army to use their big C-130 Loadmaster things. I don't remember. I just mean there's solutions out there. But we're just waiting to see what.
Well, and part of it is finding the right the relief organization to donate to. But I'm not going to say any names of who not to donate to. After what just happened here.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so. I'll tell you later.
Okay. I was going to make a pitch for Catholic Charities because they are so wonderful, but then you said not to donate, and I'm like,
no, Catholic Charities, I've heard wonderful things about them being in the communities and right there and helping. If you're, most of the Catholic churches around have St. Vincent de Paul societies,
I have to tell you,
who are out there, helping and giving money for utilities and meals and, really bridging that gap for communities.
I have to tell you my favorite. Okay, so I was thinking as you were saying that there's these organized relief organizations, right? But then there's like we've been talking about how somebody has an idea and it's just kind of a grassroots community.
Are you going to talk about JJ?
No, I wasn't, but thank you. So there was the coolest thing the 2 weeks that the kids were out of school. The most adorable thing on Facebook ever was the Hurricane Harvey book club. Did you not? No. Oh my gosh. So I'm playing around on I'm scrolling around on Facebook. I'm so done with everything else. And somebody had shared it. And it's all these people reading books to kids because the kids are affected. You know, I have a 5-year-old and he was very, at times, you could tell it was starting to stress him out. And so we had to have a conversation about it. But I found this and I just gave it to him and he's clicking video after video. And in the beginning, I think it was a teacher or a librarian who started it. And they got permission from all the publishers to be able to put their books out online like this for a limited time. And so you had like 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds. All of a sudden, everybody's grabbing a book and they're reading their favorite picture book. You had some kids that were reading like Harry Potter chapter 1 and they'd read it and then they'd upload it and hashtag it. And so you could sit there and like my son, he was watching videos. He recorded one. He went and got I Like Bugs and recorded
so
my name is and I'm a kindergartner and I'm going to read I Like Bugs. Let's begin now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my husband did it. And so we put that up there. We private messaged our friend in Australia and said, hey, how cool would it be for you
to do one from there?
Edward the Emu. And so sure enough, he joins the book club. It was a closed group. And he records, hey, from Australia,
That's cool.
We come to Houston all the time, every couple of years. And, so y'all are a very special place in my heart. And he read the book. But sadly, they did have to take it down because of the copyright issues.
Yeah.
So, but that was, taking it down was heartbreaking.
So what was your, well, we talked about how natural disaster, I mean, everybody at some point goes through something, whether it's a hurricane or a flood or a fire or, so what got you through it? What was your rock you were holding on to?
Oh, prayer. I'm sorry, my faith. Absolutely. I mean, even in the darkest, like I told Lisa, in the darkest moment when I'm lying in bed, just listening to that rain, 2 days straight, rain, and knowing what's happening, knowing the water's rising, and knowing that if that levee breaks, my house is, I live farther from you from the river, so only 4 feet of water for me, but still, my house was right there on it. And I remember I could not go to sleep. My mind was racing. I was just so upset. And I just kept trying to focus on something positive. And what I finally had to do, I tried to pray the rosary, but I couldn't focus on it.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of trouble. So I went looking for my Rosary Army app first. And then I thought, you know what? I wonder, our church subscribes to something called Formed. And it has a lot of audio, video, and books that are Christian in nature, Catholic Christian in nature. And I wondered if they had anything that I could listen to. And I found the Chaplet of Divine Mercy in song version. Not the same song that I know from EWTN, but it was a different song version. And it was very soothing. And I liked having the singing, I think, better than just trying to get that meditation going with prayer, like the Rosary does. But I laid there and listened to it until I finally drifted off into sleep. And the next morning, I kid you not, the next morning I woke up, I heard birds singing outside the window. And when I heard the birds singing, I felt like Noah on the ark, or Noah's wife.
Right.
That's all I could think of, is the bird coming back with the little olive branch.
There's light.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's hope. It's not raining. It's not raining. It's not raining. The water can start to go down if it's not raining. And so that was wonderful.
There was 4 or 5 days of watching the river gauge.
Oh my gosh. I don't ever want to see that river gauge again.
So just to recap, it crested below, barely, our high point for our levees.
But they
so
said it
our
would
neighborhood
crest on Wednesday, and then they changed it. It would crest
Saturday.
on Thursday, then it would crest on Saturday, and then it finally crested a little bit early, I think.
Yeah. So
every
we came
time
home,
they kept moving it, we weren't allowed to come back to our house, but we snuck in.
We snuck in with the rest of the neighborhood, but we did have parts affected, but our part was not. So, any other parting?
No, I played a lot of music on Pandora, so I did write a blog post and put some of my more comforting songs, things that allowed me to acknowledge that the stress I was feeling was temporary, and that I wasn't looking up and going, oh God, why is this happening? I was looking up and saying, God, I need your help to get me through this, and I'm this big compared to what other people are going through, but I still need you here to get me through my own worry and anxiety and brain. And I did feel that. I did. So.
And it wasn't so much that, it was the waiting. It was the stress of it. I knew we can get through anything.
It was the not knowing.
It was the worry of, is it going to happen or is it not? And watching all the bad happening to everybody else.
Yeah.
So, all right, what else is going on in your life? Anything? Do you have a book or a movie or a TV show you want to recommend to anybody?
Oh, yeah, Maria Johnson's book. Okay. Supergirls and Halos.
Oh, I've got one somewhere around here.
Supergirls and Halos, isn't it?
Yes.
I can't remember the title. It's the Supergirl book. So it's awesome. My 15-year-old is reading it and she loves it.
Good.
But she disagrees with Maria's take on a couple of the characters and their motivations. So I've already PM'd Maria. We need to get them to Skype together and hash it out. Mm-hmm.
During the storm, I discovered one of the things that I did was cover myself up and try to watch Netflix or Amazon or whatever,
You were binge watching?
Yeah. And so try to get my mind off of it. And I found, I can't remember, I think it's on Amazon, and it is a TV series out of Russia, and it's called Ekaterina, Ekaterina.
Oh, I've heard of that, but I've never watched it.
And it's the story of Catherine the Great. So from when she came from Germany into Russia and then her rise. I found it very engaging. It's in Russian, so subtitles. But it was very well done. So I'm sure Shelly will watch it and tell me it's not historically accurate or whatever, but we all know that, it's fine. It was enjoying to watch, and it kept my mind occupied. So if you're out there and looking for something else and you enjoy shows with subtitles, I do, then it's a good one.
Oh, was it in Russian?
Yeah, it was in Russian.
With subtitles?
Yes.
Well, that's pretty cool.
There's some German. There's some German.
Doing this with your hand, and I keep waiting for you to hit me in the face.
It was in Russian with some German and English subtitles.
Well, those are fun.
So it was cool.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'd love to hear your kind of go-to when you've had crisis, or whether it's a natural disaster or health or family crisis or just work, anything. What's your go-to? What do you turn to? What do you cling to? Do you have a verse or music? What is it that helps you get through?
Yeah, hopefully we don't need it, but we know.
No, but
we probably will. So.
And we ask that you keep praying for everyone affected by the natural disasters, whether they be here in Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, Mexico's earthquakes. I think there's flooding in India.
I heard there was flooding on the other side of the world.
Wildfires in the Northeast, the Pacific Northwest. Pacific Northwest.
Pacific Northeast.
But just to keep everybody affected by natural disasters right now in your prayers.
Awesome.
So,
Bye.
Thank you.